Welcome back to the Conan Cube English Language Program videocast. In the last episode, we gave a simple overview of the English program for management course students. And in this episode, we're going to highlight one course, the Japan Studies course, which is a required English course for all management course students. They take this course in the third semester. So this is the first semester of their second year. One of the goals of this course is to get students more comfortable with writing and speaking about Japan, but often our students have difficulty explaining things Japanese in English. So that's one of our big goals for this course. The course is taught in modules. We have these 4 modules: society and culture, business and the economy, the environment, and government and politics. So I'll talk a little bit about each module and also some of the activities that we do in those modules. So again, with the Japan Studies class, we're trying to get students more comfortable in explaining things about Japan. And one of the things that we introduced this year was the Fascinating Diversity group of videos on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They're short 20-minute videos introducing different parts of Japanese culture and society, highlighting difficult points which are hard to explain in English. So one of the things that we do in a lot of our classes at CUBE is the shadowing, and we introduce students to the idea of shadowing. In my classes, for example, sometimes I have students shadow me when I'm explaining about the lesson plan for the day. And we tell students that they can do this outside of class, and this is good practice for both listening and speaking. And we tell them to focus not only on the words, but also on the intonation, the rhythm, the different parts of language. Another thing we talk about in the Society and Culture module is manga and animation, or anime. And we talk about the influence this has had overseas. And we talk about the good part about sharing Japanese society with the rest of the world. At the same time, we want students to think more critically, so we also look at the dark side. So this article from The Independent talks about the extreme manga and these kind of violent, very controversial type of manga and the influence that it has on society. So we want students to think also a little more critically about their own culture. Dictation is pretty straightforward, listening and writing everything that you hear. Sometimes I use this when I have questions for the students. I even use it on some exams or quizzes that I make for my students. Dictogloss is a little different. Dictogloss is where students listen to a little bit longer piece of text without writing. So they'll listen to a passage 2, 3, or 4 times, and then they'll pick up their pencil and try to write in their own words what was talked about in the text. And it's too long to remember word for word, so they have to think about it idea by idea and use their own language to be able to explain what they heard. So we use both dictation and dictogloss. The second module is business and the economy, and one of the things we talk about is internships and working at Japanese companies. In this video, students can get a glimpse of what it is inside a Japanese company and what the foreign student finds interesting or different inside the company, and also the challenges that the company has in hosting the student. Another thing we do in the business and economy module is convergent and divergent reading tasks. We do this in other classes and projects as well. The main idea is that we have several biographies from this book, Giants of Japan, written by Mark Weston, and we choose the biographies that focus on business people. And groups of students will have a biography of a different business person. They will have 1 week to read and prepare, and then they'll come to class, and with other members who have read the same biography, they'll talk about the main points and prepare a 1-page briefing sheet. So the following week, then each member of that group will go off to another group, and these new groups, each member has read a different biography, and they use the briefing sheet that they prepared the previous week and explain about that business person to the new team members. So this is the divergent part of the divergent reading task. So convergent and divergent reading tasks. To make the text a little more accessible to students, we sometimes use a software called ClipRead, where we can load in a larger piece of text and it breaks the text into meaningful chunks. So this is one of the things we do for scaffolding, and I'll talk a little more about scaffolding later. The third module for Japan Studies is the environment, and the last couple of years we've spent quite a bit of time talking about the earthquake and nuclear disaster and tsunami in Tohoku. We also look at Japan's eco-model city projects, try to focus on critical thinking skills, so we don't want students to just take in information at face value, but to think about more of the background behind it. Another big part of our program at CUBE is the reading-writing connection. We try to emphasize to students that when they're writing, they should be writing for an audience, and that when they're reading, the author of that has some kind of purpose in mind for writing. And so this connection between reading and writing is so key. And related to this is the idea of genre writing. The final module for Japan Studies has been government and politics, and this year, 2013, in the springtime, we had the elections in Japan, and so this was a great opportunity for students to choose one of the political parties and then research about their policies and their platform, and then again with using the convergent and divergent tasks, they introduce what they learned about a political party to classmates who've researched other political parties. And in the same module, we also want students to be able to understand and explain how the Japanese government is organized. So in this final module, we use a different kind of assessment. In the previous three modules, we normally do a quiz on the last day or after the end of the module. In this final module, we use something called peer-assessed interviews, where the students actually prepare the questions with help from the teacher, and then all of the interviews are conducted based on these questions. These, of course, are the base questions, and we talk with students about how to follow up on those questions or follow up on the answers to those questions. And then in this slide, you can see there's 2 interviewers for each interviewee. And so all the students need to interview twice, and then they are interviewed once. And there's 15-minute slots for each interview. There's a room and which position they are. So I talked earlier about scaffolding, the support that we provide for the students. And again, the key with scaffolding is that you give the support and the help when it's needed and not beyond that. In today's video cast, we talked about Japan Studies as an example of one of our content-based or content-focused English language courses. Thanks again, and hope you check back and watch some of our future videos.